It's time for ASMR, and in this video I am going to be whispering to you cool space facts. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you for helping me to get to 100 subscribers. I wasn't expecting to get here ever, let alone this quickly, so I greatly appreciate it. And if you are new here, welcome. And I hope you like the content enough to stick around and subscribe. Okay, let's begin. Mercury and Venus are the only two planets in our solar system that have no moons. Mercury, and Venus. Mercury, Venus. It turns out that there are 176 confirmed moons that orbit all of the planets in our solar system, but none of them are around Mercury and Venus. If a star passes too close to a black hole, it can be torn apart. The hottest planet in our solar system is your mom. No, I'm just kidding. The hottest planet in our solar system is Venus. Some people think it is Mercury because it is the closest to the sun, but Mercury doesn't have an atmosphere, and Venus does. And because of the way that Venus's atmosphere is, it creates a greenhouse effect that traps in the heat. So Mercury is close to the sun and probably gets more incoming heat, but it is able to radiate that away quicker than Venus can. Our solar system is 4.57 billion years old. Accurately speaking, it is 4.571 billion years old. Scientists estimate that in about 5 billion years, our sun will expand, becoming a red giant. In about 7.5 billion years, its expanding surface will swallow up and engulf the Earth. You know, I've read up on that, or at least I think I remember reading up on the fact that as the sun gets older, it will lose mass, and in doing so, our orbit around it might expand so that we aren't actually encompassed by the inevitable red giant that our sun will become. So hopefully that's the case, but it doesn't matter. You and I won't be around for another 7.5 billion years. Enceladus, I don't know how to pronounce this one of the Roman gods, or whatever it's named after, is one of Saturn's smaller moons, and it reflects 90% of the sun's light. That's actually pretty interesting. Very shiny boy. Because Enceladus's icy surface reflects sunlight rather than absorbing it, its temperatures reach as low as -394 degrees Fahrenheit, or -201 degrees Celsius. That is very, 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 very cold. The highest mountain discovered in our solar system is the Olympus Mons, which is located on Mars. Its peak is 16 miles high, making it nearly 3 times higher than Mount Everest. Wow. And not only is it tall, but it's also 374,015 feet squared wide. That's an area the size of Arizona. Oh, interesting. The Whirlpool Galaxy M51 was the first celestial object identified as being a spiral. That's interesting because I feel like growing up, I have memories of learning about galaxies and there were always spirally ones. Fun fact, I think that the way these spirals form is what alerts physicists to the possibility of dark matter, because under normal Einsteinian gravitation, general relativity, the amount of mass that we can see with all of our sensors isn't enough to explain the way that certain galaxies form their shape. And so they posit that there exists some sort of dark matter, something that we aren't getting any form of light from, that explains the missing mass. Okay, this one's a little obvious. A light year is the distance covered by light in a single year. Fascinating. Okay, some more info to go along with that. Light moves at a velocity of about 186,411 miles a second, or about 300 kilometers a second. I don't think it's quite 300,000 kilometers a second, because I think we redefined seconds to be something that's really fundamental, like the way certain atoms oscillate, or like the decay rate of some atom. So I think it ends up being like 299.999 something kilometers a second. So the total distance is 5,903,326,255 miles. Wow, I don't think I've said a big number like that out loud in a really long time. The Milky Way galaxy is 105,700 light years wide. That is a long time, and makes me really sad because we're probably never going to escape the solar system, let alone the galaxy. But it's cool to imagine that our species would be able to inhabit the stars. Oh yeah, it would take a modern spacecraft 450 million years to travel to the center of our galaxy. Wow, that's a long time. Alright, the sun weighs about 330,000 times more than Earth. Honestly, I thought it would have been a lot more. Maybe because we are denser, because I know the sun is way bigger than the Earth. I think it's like 1 million Earths can fit, like take up the same volume as the sun or something like that. So the fact that it's only 330,000 times more heavy than Earth is interesting, probably because the Earth is rocky and dense and the sun is just a big ball of gas, like your mom. No, I'm just playing. It is about 109 times the diameter of Earth and is so large that the Earth can fit in the sun about 1.3 million times over. Okay, yeah, I was pretty close with that million. In fact, the sun is so gigantic that it contains 99.85% of all the mass in our solar system. Interesting. So that means even Jupiter is less than 1% of the mass in all of our solar system. I guess Jupiter is just big, not necessarily massive, so interesting. Alright, footprints left on the moon won't disappear, as there is no wind. But wait a minute, there's no wind to blow them away, then why is the flag blowing? Okay, yeah, this is something that gets brought up by moon landing conspiracy theorists. They'll point at pictures of the flag that gets planted on the moon, and it looks like it's blowing, but it wasn't. It was extended with a telescopic rod, and that they just were struggling to remove the flag's upper hem, so it's just like folded like that. Still unsure whether we've walked on the moon. Oh, okay, so it links to 5 common moon landing myths that they debunk. But interestingly enough, I think there is like some sort of mirror on the moon that if you have a powerful enough laser, you can shine at it at the right angle, at the right time, and it will, you will be able to pick up a signal back on Earth. I think that's a thing. I think I remember watching them do that on Big Bang Theory like years ago, when I didn't have taste in television. Okay, because of lower gravity, a person who weighs 220 pounds on Earth would weigh 84 pounds on Mars. So that means your mom would weigh 1,000 pounds on Mars. Okay, I'm sorry. No offense to your mom. I'm sure she's a lovely lady. When sending droids to the surface of Mars, this is something scientists plan for, being able to load the droid up with more equipment and phrase it as like known moons. Like maybe there's more. Like maybe there'll be a moon that comes around on the other side of the planet, and we'll be like, oh hey, that wasn't there before. Interesting. Jupiter is the planet in our solar system with the most moons, and has the largest moon in our solar system. It's called Ganymede and is 3,270 miles in diameter, which is bigger than Mercury, which is a planet and is visible with just a pair of binoculars. Oh, that's cool. The Martian day is 24 hours, 39 minutes, and 35 seconds long. That's actually really convenient because that means that Mars has a pretty similar cycle to that of Earth. So you'd therefore assume that there are less days in a year on Mars than Earth, right? No, but that's because I've taken orbital mechanics. But yeah, because Mars orbits the Sun slower than Earth, there are actually 687 Martian days in a Martian year. NASA's Crater Observation and Sensing Satellite, LaCrosse. NASA really loves their acronyms. Found evidence of water on the Earth's moon. Interesting. While water cannot exist on the moon's surface under its current conditions, scientists believe water ice could survive within the cold, permanently shadowed by craters at the moon's two poles. I think there's a typo there. The sun makes a full rotation once every 25 to 35 days. Okay, interesting. The sun, in its own way, kind of has days itself. So for us on Earth, one full rotation equals one full day. However, our gargantuan sun takes 25 to 35 Earth days to make one full rotation. Earth is the only planet not named after a god. Interesting. Nobody knows how the Earth got its name. All we know is that it is derived from an amalgamation of both the Old English and Old Germanic words for ground. Very fitting. Due to the sun and moon's gravitational pull, we have tides. This is because the moon's tidal force causes the Earth and the water on it to bulge out on the side closest to the moon. These bulges are what cause the world's high tides. Also, an interesting fact that I don't think is listed here is that the moon is getting further and further away from the Earth by centimeters every year or something very small. And in doing so, it is also slowing down the rotation of the Earth, if I remember correctly. Because as the moon gets further away, its angular momentum increases. And so it has, because of conservation of angular momentum, the Earth has to slow down. Basically, I think the mechanism is that because the Earth is so plate, some sides of the Earth get pulled on harder by the moon than the other, and ends up putting a torque on it, if I remember correctly. Pluto, which is no longer a planet, is smaller than the United States. Is smaller than the United States. If you were to walk around the equator of Pluto, it would be the same distance as walking from London to Denver, plus or minus an extra 56 miles. According to mathematics, I'm going to correct this one, but what it says is according to mathematics, white holes are possible, although as of yet we have found none. No, this isn't according to mathematics. This is according to the equations for general relativity, basically the mathematics that we use to describe the physical phenomena seem to allow for the concept of white holes. It's not according to mathematics necessarily, but more of the mathematics that really fit our observations of the physical universe. Alright, that was 20 space facts for you. 20 cool space facts for you, if I may say so. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know any cool cool space facts that you know of in the comments. And while you are down there, I would greatly appreciate it if you give this video a like